Gentlemen, here's a fact that might stop you in your tracks. Nearly 80% of women never reach orgasm from intercourse alone. That's 8 out of 10, confirmed by studies in the Journal of Sexual Medicine. Many never tell their partners, quietly pretending for years. Think about it. You might have spent decades believing you were satisfying her, when the truth is, she's been holding back. And here's the good news. Men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s can often give a woman more pleasure than men half their age if they know the right skills. Before we dive in, drop a 1 in the comments if this makes sense, or 0 if you want me to improve it next time. And make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss advice that can keep your connection strong. I'm Dr. Mark Hyman, MD. For over 30 years, I've helped thousands of men restore performance and intimacy not by chasing youth, but by mastering connection, patience, and skill. Today, I'll show you the first key to creating unforgettable pleasure for her, no matter your age. The first technique you need to master is the pressure and rhythm principle. Most younger men focus on the finish line rushing, changing angles, thinking variety is always better. But as men mature, they gain something younger. Men often lack patience. And in this case, patience is power. When I say pressure, I mean the firmness and depth of your movement, enough to engage her most sensitive areas, but never so forceful it interrupts her arousal. Think of it like the tide coming in, slow and steady, predictable, yet irresistible. Rhythm is just as vital. Research from the Journal of Sexual Medicine shows women's arousal builds most effectively with consistent tempo. Once you find the pace that makes her breathing deepen and her hips start moving with you, you've hit the sweet spot. That's when you hold steady, resisting the urge to speed up, which often pulls her away from climax. My client, James from Austin, Texas, learned this firsthand. At 72, he feared he couldn't satisfy his wife anymore. We practiced the pressure and rhythm principle, focusing on keeping movement steady and reading her cues. 2 weeks later, James told me his wife had the most intense orgasm she'd had in years, not because he moved faster, but because he tuned into her completely. To apply this, watch her breathing, feel the subtle shifts in her body, and keep your tempo locked in. Small variations, a slow hip circle, or a slight change in angle can enhance her pleasure. But the core beat must remain steady. It's like dancing to a song only the two of you can hear. Let's stay with James for a moment, because his breakthrough perfectly illustrates what can happen when you apply the pressure and rhythm principle. When he first came to see me in Austin, Texas, he was frustrated. At 72, he felt his best days were behind him. "Doc, I just can't keep up anymore. I think she's settling for less," he admitted. But James's challenge wasn't a lack of love or effort. It was his belief that great intimacy depended on the stamina and energy he had in his 40s. What he didn't realize was that his greatest advantage now was patience, focus, and a willingness to listen to his partner's body. We practiced slowing down, locking into a pace that made his wife's breathing deepen and her hips align with his. He stopped performing and started connecting. Just 2 weeks later, James returned with a smile I'll never forget. He said, "Mark, she had the most intense orgasm in years, and I wasn't even out of breath." His wife told him she felt more cherished, more understood, and more connected than she had in decades. This is the lesson. It's not about becoming younger again. It's about becoming the kind of lover only time and experience can shape, one who values the journey over the finish line, listens with his whole body, and sees pleasure as something you share, not something you win. When you start thinking like James, you stop focusing on what you've lost and start realizing the power of what you've gained. The second technique you need in your toolkit is the dual stimulation method. Here's the simple truth. 70 to 80% of women require direct clitoral stimulation to reach orgasm. That's not a shortcoming in you or her. It's simply how her body is designed. Ignoring this is like trying to bake bread without yeast. You can go through all the motions, but you won't get the rise you're hoping for. The dual stimulation method means combining two kinds of pleasure at the same time: deep, rhythmic penetration and precise external stimulation. When these two sensations work together, her body responds faster, stronger, and more completely. One of my clients, Robert from Columbus, Ohio, came to me convinced that his wife could only climax through oral sex, never during intercourse. I explained it wasn't about replacing one with the other, but blending the best of both. We worked on finding positions that gave him easy access to her clitoris while maintaining a steady rhythm inside. Within weeks, Robert told me his wife had reached orgasm with him inside her for the first time in years, and the joy on his face said it all. You can use your hand, or if you're both comfortable, introduce a small vibrator. Many couples find this takes the pressure off the man to maintain constant intensity while still giving her exactly what she needs. Start slowly. Let her body warm up. Then synchronize your internal and external rhythm. Some women respond best to gentle circles. Others prefer steady pressure. And remember, this isn't just mechanical. Keep eye contact. Use encouraging words. And let her see you're fully invested in her pleasure. That emotional connection often amplifies the physical sensation, creating a release she'll remember for years. Robert's story didn't end with just one breakthrough. Once he and his wife discovered the power of the dual stimulation method, they began experimenting with small adjustments that made a big difference. One night, Robert told me they lit a few candles, put on their favorite jazz record, and decided to take their time. He positioned himself so he could maintain a steady, deep rhythm while using his free hand to give her external stimulation. This time, instead of rushing toward climax, they let the tension build slowly, like a song climbing toward its chorus. By the time she reached orgasm, Robert said she clung to him like she didn't want the moment to end. And here's what struck me most: it wasn't just about the physical release. She told him, "I've never felt so connected to you in years." That's what this is really about. The technique is important, yes, but the emotional safety you create is what allows her to fully let go. Without that, even perfect technique can fall flat. If you're trying this for the first time, keep the focus on her cues. Is her breathing getting faster? Are her hips meeting yours? Is she making small sounds that signal she's close? Each of those is a green light to keep going exactly as you are. And remember, variation is fine, but don't break the rhythm when she's building up. Think of it like climbing a hill together. If you stop to take a detour, you might lose the momentum that would have carried you to the top. Now that we've covered pressure, rhythm, and dual stimulation, it's time to talk about position mastery. This isn't about memorizing a list of exotic moves. It's about knowing which positions work best for her body, your body, and the connection between you. For couples over 60, comfort and access are key. One of the most underrated positions is the modified missionary simply placing a pillow under her hips. This subtle lift changes the angle so you can hit her most sensitive spots more directly, while also making it easier to maintain rhythm and eye contact. James swears this was the change that made his wife feel more filled and connected. Another is the side-lying position. It takes pressure off your joints and allows for more relaxed, extended sessions. You can easily reach to stimulate her externally. And because you're facing each other, the intimacy feels magnified. Robert and his wife found a variation of woman on top worked wonders when she leaned forward slightly, supporting herself on her hands. This angle gave her control over depth and speed, while also letting Robert provide consistent external stimulation without strain. For those open to trying something a little different, the chair embrace can be surprisingly intimate. Sit in a sturdy chair with her straddling you, chest to chest. Your hands are free to roam. Your lips are close for kissing, and gravity works in your favor. Remember, the best position is the one that lets you keep steady rhythm, maintain connection, and give her both internal and external pleasure. A perfect position isn't about performance. It's about partnership. By now, you've learned how pressure, rhythm, and dual stimulation can transform your intimacy. But to make all of that work even better, especially for couples over 60, you need positions that protect your joints, maximize pleasure, and keep you connected. Here are 3 of my favorites for both comfort and connection. First, side-by-side connection. Lie on your sides, facing each other. This takes all the weight off your knees and hips, and it allows for easy external stimulation. You can maintain steady rhythm while looking right into her eyes, which makes the intimacy feel even deeper. Robert and his wife told me this position gave them longer sessions without fatigue, and the closeness felt like dating again. Second, woman on top forward. Lean. Have her straddle you while leaning slightly forward, supporting herself on her hands. This gives her full control over depth and pace, while allowing you to use your hands for gentle, consistent external stimulation. It's also easier on your lower back than you might expect, because she's doing most of the movement. James swears this changed everything for his wife's pleasure. Third, the chair embrace. Sit on a sturdy chair with her straddling you, chest to chest. Gravity works in your favor. Your hands are free to explore, and your lips are close for kissing. This is great for shorter sessions or when mobility is limited, but the emotional connection is off the charts. If you remember one thing about positions, make it this: the best position is the one that lets you both enjoy the moment without strain. Comfort doesn't mean boring. It means freedom to focus on the pleasure and connection you're building together. When you put all of this together, the pressure, the rhythm, the dual stimulation, the positions built for comfort and connection, you realize something powerful. Great intimacy after 60 isn't about trying to be who you were at 25. It's about becoming the best version of yourself now. Here's the real takeaway: technique matters, but the mindset matters more. The couples who keep passion alive into their later years aren't chasing novelty for the sake of it. They're paying attention, they're listening, and they're willing to adjust. That's why James could transform his wife's experience by slowing down, and Robert could reignite his marriage with simple, thoughtful changes. The 3 positions we just talked about, they work because they fit your bodies today, not the ones you had decades ago. The pressure and rhythm techniques, they matter because they respect her natural arousal curve, giving her the time and stimulation she needs. The dual stimulation approach. It's not a trick. It's a language of connection. And yes, the afterglow still counts. It might not have been on the original checklist of techniques, but it's the bridge between one intimate moment and the next. When you invest in that time afterward, cuddling, talking, sharing, you're not just ending the experience. You're setting the stage for the next one. So if you remember nothing else, remember this at this stage in life. Great intimacy is less about performance and more about partnership. Master these skills, make them your own, and you'll discover that your most connected, most passionate years are still ahead of you. Over the last 8 parts, we've explored what it truly means to create deep, lasting intimacy, not just through physical technique, but through patience, connection, and intentional care. From mastering pressure and rhythm, to blending dual stimulation, to choosing positions that work for your bodies. Every step has been about tuning into her needs and making her pleasure a shared priority. We learned from James how slowing down and reading her cues can transform your connection. Robert showed us that combining methods and investing in afterglow can make intimacy something you both anticipate with joy. And through it all, one theme kept emerging. The best intimacy happens when 2 people feel safe, understood, and appreciated. These aren't quick tricks. They're habits you build over time. The payoff isn't just better sex, it's deeper trust, more affection, and a stronger bond in every part of your relationship. When you master these techniques, you stop worrying about whether you can perform and start enjoying the kind of connection that makes her want to come back for more, again and again. So, here's my call to you. Try just one of these ideas tonight. Notice how she responds. Keep building from there. And don't just keep this to yourself. Share it with friends who want to keep passion alive well into their later years. If this conversation has opened your eyes, leave a comment below and tell me which part resonated most with you. And if you want more insights, tips, and real stories that can transform your intimacy and your health, hit that subscribe button. Your best years aren't behind you. They're still ahead, waiting for you to claim them.